Midiflow Splitter is an essential app for you if you're using an external keyboard to play your synth apps and if you're playing live and want to use multiple sounds at the same time. So a typical application of this app is to have one sound on the lower half of the keyboard and another sound on the upper half. Or to have two sounds in a layer configuration and only one sound reacts to the sustain pedal or to the pitch bend. Or if one sound has to be transposed by one octave because that's what the sound needs. In order to use Midiflow Splitter, you go to Audiobus to the MIDI screen and first select your MIDI keyboard as an input in two pipelines. And then you select two different synth apps as outputs. I'll use Isymphonic and Model 15. If I play the keyboard now, this is just a layer configuration because both synth apps receive the same data from the keyboard. Now I'm going to add Midiflow Splitter to both pipelines and switch to the app. It shows an input keyboard and above the keyboard it shows the destination apps. So Midiflow Splitter recognizes the pipelines in Audiobus that have the same source and will group the destination apps according to that. Because if you're using the same MIDI source for two apps, this means that they are played on the same keyboard. By default, if you add Midiflow Splitter to pipelines in Audiobus, it will automatically create a split configuration. So without doing anything, I already have split the keyboard into two halves with Isymphonic in the lower half and Model 15 in the upper half. I can now change the assignments. So for example, if I want to swap the zones, I can select Model 15 in the lower half and Isymphonic in the upper half. Or I can have one app on the full range of the keyboard. I can move the split point or add more split points, which makes sense if I have more sounds. So I will add one more. In the third pipeline, I'll add the keyboard again and the splitter, and as a source I use CMP piano. Back in the splitter app, it has been added. Here I can change the zones and I can add another split point like that and move it. I can also use MIDI Learn to select the split point with the keyboard. And of course I can delete a split point to merge the zones again. There are some options that you can set for each sound app. For example, you can transpose the sound in octave steps, which is useful if you want to play high notes in lower key zones. You can also activate and deactivate controllers, so for example if you want the sustain pedal not to influence one of the sounds, you can just deactivate it. In this case I'm going to deactivate it for the string sound. And you can hear that when I play and press the sustain pedal, it is only holding the piano but not the strings. Another useful feature is the solo button, which disables all the other sounds and activates the sound on the whole keyboard. This is nice if you want to make adjustments to one sound that is normally in a layer configuration and you want to mute the other sounds. So when I solo the string sound, this deactivates all the other sounds and I can play it on the whole keyboard and check if the sound is right. There's one thing to mention if you're using Midiflow Splitter to split the Midiflow keyboard app. Just insert it instead of a hardware MIDI port in Audiobus. You will notice that the splitter will show independent keyboards for each MIDI pipeline. To fix that, you have to go to Midiflow keyboard and decide which keyboard you want to use for the split. And for that keyboard, you have to select all ports with a port selector. Midiflow Splitter will recognize that and know that these keyboards have to be merged. So much for that. Now, if you're as excited as I am about the new Audiobus 3 and MIDI, Don't forget to subscribe to this channel on YouTube and follow Midiflow on twitter.com/Midiflow or facebook.com/Midiflow app. There's even more stuff coming. See you next time.